Hooi Fen, and she is an associate director APAC regional labeling at Organon, and she has working experience of 10 plus years, and she is passionate and experienced in strategic planning and execution within the regulatory affairs function in the pharmaceutical industry. And she will be sharing her expertise with us on new effective ways to communicate safely information to patient and healthcare providers. So let's welcome. So hi, Sue, how are you?
Hi, can you
Uh,
see me? Can you
y-
hear me?
yeah, I can see you and I can hear you properly. So how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I
Thank you.
hope you're well as well.
Yeah, we are well. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here. We are really glad and honored to have you. And please share your slides with us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me know when you can see my
Yes,
slide.
sure. Okay, and in the meantime, I will ask the audience that if they are having any questions related to Sue's presentation, and they can ask in the chat or in the Q&A session, and we will make sure to get answer all of your question at the end of this session. So thank you so much. Yeah, so I can perfectly see your slides. Good luck. Stage is all yours now.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to speak at the 12th Packaging and Labeling Innovation Program Asia. I will be sharing some insights on e-labeling, which is a new effective way to communicate safety information to patients and healthcare providers. Okay, just give me a... All right, so just give me a second. There are some disruptions over on my screen. Okay, so before I begin my presentations, I would like to give a quick introductions about myself. I'm Hui Fen. I'm the Associate Director for APAC Regional Labeling. I was raised and born in Penang, Malaysia. I graduated with Master of Pharmacy and I started my career working as a pharmacist in the hospital, after which I made a bold career move to join the pharmaceutical multinationals. I'm now based in Singapore to start a new chapter in my career with Organon. And on leisure time, I'm an avid runner. I enjoy yoga and traveling the world. So I would like to start my presentations by providing an insight and a snapshots of the APAC regulatory landscape on e-labeling. As you can see here, these are the three countries, Japan, Singapore, and Australia, which are more advanced in e-labeling than other countries in this region. In Japan, e-labeling was introduced officially in December 2019, and there's a revisions to the Pharmaceuticals and Medical Device Act, which is effective in August 2021 to allow implementations of e-labeling in the country. And industry was given 2 years transitional period to fully enforce e-labeling by July 2023, which by then, paper insert will be eliminated from commercial pack for all prescriptions medicines. And in Singapore, the guidance was published in August 2019. It is still on a voluntary basis where industry can choose to participate or not, and it is applicable for prescriptions only medicines during these initial implementations. And of these three countries, Australia has already implemented e-labeling for many years ago. As you can see here, they have started e-labeling since 2010, and they have the just-in-time printing for consumer medicine information available at the pharmacy. And there are also ongoing efforts in other parts of APAC to advocate e-labeling, such as the China, Taiwan, and Korea. And in ASEAN countries, there are active engagements on e-labeling between industry group and health authority in Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and Philippines. So I would like to show you some comparisons of e-labeling framework across these countries, Australia, Japan, and Singapore. As you can see, in these countries, there are established regulations and guidelines for e-labeling to guide the country and the industry into implementations of e-labeling. And the scope of product for e-labeling are pretty similar. As you can see here, they are for medicine space. And the hosting platform, this is a good illustrations of the three different models of e-labeling implementations. With Australia, the hosting platform is in the health authority website, but with collaborations with third party. And in Japan, the hosting platform is in the health authority website, while in Singapore, as you can see here, the hosting platform is at the company website. And of course, the difference of the e-labeling model implementations has their own pros and cons, which we can see in the next column here, the data format. In the HA website, it is more rigid, not so flexible, and there is a fixed template for industry to follow. So, like here, it is the PDF format. And similarly, in Japan, it's PDF. But of course, Japan envisions to enhance their e-labeling implementations, and the industry is also required to upload the XML versions for future state. And with company websites, we can see there are more creativity and variety type of online content that can be included in the company websites. We can have like the PDF and then the videos and other e-format like audio or other online content that is suitable for patients' view or the healthcare professionals to reference to. And in terms of eliminations of paper PI, the ultimate vision of e-labeling will be removal of paper PI entirely. But of course, in order to implement elimination of paper PI, it depends on the country needs at this point in time. As we can see in Australia, although e-labeling implementation has started like years ago, but paper copies are still needed for injectables and oral contraceptives. And in Japan, the industry is expected to remove paper PI by July 2023. And in Singapore, it's still on voluntary for company to co-distribute the paper PI as well as having the e-labeling QR code on their packaging carton. And how does e-labeling work? So basically, the data interface can be of any human readable format. Example, a website URL, link, or machine readable format, like the QR code or GS1 barcode. So I put up some examples here from my company's Organon Australia page, where if anyone access this page, you will see like the list of products, and depending on what products information that you are referring to, you can click on it respectively, and it will brings you to the information that is desired. So for HCPs, there is like HCPs versions of the product informations. And for patients, there is also a versions of patients where the languages are more patients friendly. And the QR code for scanning should be easily accessible, where no special device should be needed. And upon scanning, the relevant product labels should be displayed, as what we are seeing here. The advantage of having machine readable format is that it has a dynamic setup which enables multiple use cases, where online content such as the labels here, educational content, YouTube how-to video in multiple languages, etc., can be embedded in a single code. Yeah, as you can see here. So for the benefit of our audience who are not from the pharmaceutical industry, I just wanted to share with you how does a typical label content for pharmaceutical product look like. So these are the required sections that you will see in pharmaceutical product labels. And of course, there are other sections pertaining to clinical mechanism of actions as well. But I want to show you, sorry. So these are the safety informations that we are referring to that will require updates from time to time, depend on the reported adverse events, side effects, ongoing clinical studies, and also post-marketing surveillance. As we can see from COVID-19 vaccines, there are a lot of updates from time to time, depending on what are the reported adverse events from those that have gotten the injections. So here are the benefits of e-labeling, which can be divided into 4 buckets. So in terms of accessibility, the most up-to-date product information approved by the health authority is easily accessible on a public website. And this is an important first step in improving patient safety and trust in medicines, as we've seen in the COVID-19 vaccines rolled out, where everyone is very eager to know what is about these vaccines and what is the indications and how it impact whoever that got this jab, all this stuff. So that is pretty helpful with just one click on the URL, web link, or QR code to get this kind of informations. And e-labeling also promote better patient understanding, leading to increased adherence and better use of the medicinal products, because e-labeling is a dynamic, is patient-centered, and the content or the materials can be adjusted to patient's preference. Like I've put up here some examples of video of how to use a self-administration's Prefil pen. For example, I think people are more familiar with insulin pen and all that. And if you want to know how to use that, with the video to guide you along, if the video can even be added with subtitles, that is even great to help patients understanding. And I've added here some labels from our Japan website, where, as you can see, there is a product image of how the tablets looks like in colors. I mean, this is kind of small, but if you go to the website directly, you can have a better visual of the tablets with some embossment and all. This also helps when the pharmacist is doing dispensing, where they can recognize the color and look at the embossment to prevent any medication dispensing error. Yeah. And in terms of safety, e-labeling enable searching and interoperability with other digital healthcare systems and bringing efficiencies and opportunities across the spectrum of healthcare. For example, integrations with the electronic medical record, health authority database, and even distributors database. But of course, I think this is a bit, in the future state, but what I'm highlighting here is the capabilities of e-labeling in the healthcare ecosystems. And of course, e-labeling will reduce cost, because with e-labeling, there is no need to coordinate the implementations of printed EI with stock inventory, and thus improving supply chain resilience and efficiencies. Also with e-labeling, it prevents product recall due to labeling error, because if there is any labeling errors, we don't have to take back all the products and change the paper insert or do redressing. We can just change it online, and that kind of information is disseminated to everyone at the same time. And of course, reducing the use of paper is also environmental friendly. So in a nutshell, e-labeling will help to deliver the latest labeling information immediately in efficient and friendly way for patient safety. So what are the considerations for a company like a startup? For example, Organon, we are considered a startup, although we spin off from Merck But yeah, in terms of size, we are a startup. So how do we consider the readiness in a company like us? So there are always internal factor and external factor to consider. And in terms of internal factor, we always look at the data format. Like internally, what kind of format that we want to upload or we want to show to our HCPs and our patients or users. So the more will be PDF or Word document. And I always think implementations of any new initiatives can be done in so when we have more resources and more expertise, we can always move on to the more advanced stage, like incorporate some interactive format like video and some searchable documents. I know PDF is searchable document, but it's like flat and it go by keywords. But if you can have more like the structured content with some table contents, that kind of things, that will actually ease the healthcare professionals or the consumers to navigate themselves to look for the sections that they want. And as I mentioned earlier, the future enhancements is to all like the health authority database, distributor database, to have a seamless information exchange between all the stakeholders. And in terms of technology, we need to assess how ready is the company website and whether to use the website URL, QR code, or 2D data metrics. And what are the feasibility of printing this QR code or data metrics on the carton? And also to think that eventually when the company or the country wants to implement track and trace or serializations, this is able to be linked to the QR code for e-labeling. Yeah. And for external factors, the national authorities' guidance or regulations actually set the tone for the industry on implementations of e-labeling. As you can see, and I've said in my previous slides, in Australia, Japan, and Singapore, there is already established framework and initiative from the government where it sets and tell the industry who are interested with e-labeling how to start off or jumpstart themselves to be part of the e-labeling initiative. And also we need to look at the regulations for paper insert or package insert, whether is it mandated to print the PI. As we see in Australia, there are still certain products that require printed PI to be part of the package. Allow coexistence of printed PI and electronic PI. I think that is what Singapore is adopting now, or total eliminations of printed PI, as what envisioned by the health authority in Japan by July 2023. And also looking at the landscape of that country where the company is present. What is the usage of smart device in this country? Also, what is the internet accessibility in this country? And is the general populations open to technology? And what are the acceptance level of EPI countrywide? These are all the considerations to think about on implementing e-labeling. So I also show some important milestones for startup company like us. So at the point of initiations, we need to establish a secure company website or a cloud-based repository of approved product labeling. And I'm mentioning here some internal stakeholders that we need to engage to materialize these steps. And also to identify eligible products considering the internal and external requirement, and linking the electronic PI via URL or QR code on the packaging carton. So as I mentioned, what are the feasibility of printing this QR code on the carton? Because usually if you look at the pharmaceutical products carton, it's kind of busy. There are a lot of informations. And if you want to add this code on it, what are the kind of adjustment that's needed? Also from printing perspective of the machine that it's already available in the manufacturing site. So these are all the points that needs to be think about for implementation. So here are the stakeholders from our company point of view. And next is maintaining the label so that it is up to date. And for countries where there are regulations or guidance in place, usually there will be a regulated timeline in place. For example, in Australia, the industries the companies are expected to update their label in 2 weeks' time when there is a new approved information by the health authority. And in Singapore and Japan, it's 4 weeks or 30 days. And also, we need to have our SOP for label version control, which must be in place. And also, contingency plan must be built to cater for any server downtime, because now the industry or the society don't have the paper PI anymore. So the only source is internet, and internet plus, of course, the company's web or the health authority web. So we need to make sure that the labels are always accessible to our nation or our people. And the next, I would say, these enhancements is the future state. It's more advanced, it's more sophisticated. So at that time, when we have the capabilities, we have the resources, we can have this add-on feature of video with subtitles, even if the consumers or doctors can change the subtitles depending on their preferred language, that will be good. Audio with multi-languages. And I was even thinking about having to build in the website, like Google Translate, but of course not Google Translate. We need something more validated, from a pharmaceutical point of view. So that will be really good to have and help the patients to further understand the product informations. And I mentioned earlier about the structured content to allow navigations. So some interactive PDF where consumers or patients can go directly to the sections that they want. For example, if I want to know what is the side effects, what is the adverse events, what are the contraindications, patients always tell me they are taking these supplements or, this kind of stuff. Can I then take this medication? So, if by having this kind of interactive PDF, patients can go direct and get the information that they want. So yeah, these are the internal stakeholders that from our company point of view to engage to materialize the enhancement state. So I want to emphasize that in implementing any new initiative, collaboration is key to success. We need participations from all internal stakeholders, and we need a coordinated process, and a strong cross-functional collaboration is needed. I put some little inspirational quote here. Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. And of course, working together is success. So these are some of the outcomes that we have observed from our company, where there is easier for promotional materials that can link to the physician insert or patient leaflet, and also streamlining post-health authority approval activities. For example, the artwork implementations of leaflet, where I've also mentioned earlier under the benefits of e-labeling, where it reduced costs because now we no longer need to coordinate the implementations of paper insert and the stock inventory. So that actually helps a lot in terms of investing our time to coordinate between supply chain and regulatory affairs and the labeling team. And e-labeling also helps to reduce non-compliance issues for safety label update implementations. If you are aware, there is always a stipulated timeline from the health authority for a company to implement safety label update. Sometimes it can be immediate. It's like a 0 grace period. Like for the case in China, depending on the priorities of the safety label, it can be a zero grace period because it is so important that it needs to get out to the public immediately. So with e-labeling, it can help to reduce the non-compliance. And of course, again, cost savings in productions, saving some cost on the paper, and reducing the write-off risk if there is any stocks that cannot be depleted in time to meet the timeline for the implementations of the new label. We can reduce that kind of write-off risk. And of course, man hours in coordinations with multiple stakeholders, multiple functions to ensure that the correct package with the correct paper insert is distributed out to the public. And this is a path forward for e-labeling, which has been implemented for COVID-19 vaccines across many countries. And we can see that authorities are receptive, and we can leverage on this wave to bring e-labeling in ASEAN, especially the ASEAN countries. So some food for thoughts for the audience to think about how technology can be adapted to various countries' socio-economic landscape, and how can manufacturing division play their role in the e-labeling space. With that, I thank you for your attention. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Soo, for your wonderful presentation. I'll ask the audience that if they're having any question, they can drop in the chat or in the Q&A session. So thank you so much for being here and adding value in our conference. So thank you so much. So now, as we are at the end of our conference, but we will wait for the question of our audience. So we will give you a few minutes so that you can ask your questions from Soo.